I'm 81, and I gave my life to work, while my life passed me by. I'm 81 years old. I woke up this morning before the sun, the way I always do now, and for a long moment I couldn't remember what day it was. That happens more often lately. What I did remember was the weight in my chest, the same one that's been there for years telling me I don't have much time left to say what I should have said earlier. I'm not telling this because I need forgiveness. Most of the people I'd want it from aren't around anymore. I'm saying it because when you get to my age, the noise falls away. There's no future left to impress, no one to prove anything to. All that's left is the truth, and it sits with you, whether you like it or not. Right now, I live alone in a small apartment. It's quiet in a way that feels permanent. I used to love quiet. I used to crave it after long days. Now it feels like something closing in. The walls don't echo with anything. No voices, no arguments, no laughter drifting in from another room. Just the refrigerator humming and the sound of my own breathing. People assume that when you're old, you spend your time remembering the big moments, weddings, promotions, milestones, but that's not how it works. What comes back are the ordinary days, the ones you didn't think mattered, the ones you rushed through because you were tired or busy or focused on something else. I spent most of my life working, not in a dramatic way. I wasn't famous. I wasn't rich. I had a solid career, respectable enough. The kind of job people nodded at approvingly when I told them what I did. I wore clean shirts, showed up on time, paid my bills. From the outside, it looked like a good life. And at the time, it felt reasonable. That's the part that still hurts. None of my choices felt reckless. I wasn't running from anything. I was doing what I thought a responsible person was supposed to do. In my 20s, I told myself I was building a foundation. Long hours were temporary. Missed dinners were necessary. I believed there would be a payoff later. I believed in later the way you believe in gravity. It just seemed real. I met my wife when I was 27. She had a laugh that filled rooms and a way of asking questions that made you feel seen. We married quickly. I don't regret that. What I regret is how often I wasn't really there, even when I was standing right next to her. I'd come home tired, my head still full of meetings and numbers and plans. She'd tell me about her day, and I'd nod while thinking about the next morning. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't absent in an obvious way. I just wasn't present. We had 2 children. I remember holding each of them in the hospital, feeling this sharp fear that I wouldn't be enough. I told myself the solution was to work harder, more security, better schools, a safer life. I thought love showed up in paychecks and stability. I missed things. Not everything. Just enough. School plays I arrived late to. Birthdays where I was distracted. Conversations I postponed because there was always tomorrow. I told myself kids wouldn't remember the small stuff. I was wrong. The years went by quietly. Promotions came and went. Offices changed. The names on doors shifted. My calendar stayed full. That felt like success. Being needed felt like purpose. At home, routine settled in. Dinner at the same time. TV on low. Everyone tired in their own way. We didn't fight much. That should have worried me more than it did. Distance doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it just grows inch by inch until you look up and realize you're speaking different languages. In my 40s, I started noticing how quickly weekends disappeared. I'd promised myself I'd slow down. I'd tell my wife we'd take a trip soon. We talked about it often, not seriously, in the way people talk about things they assume will happen eventually. There was always a deadline, always a reason to wait. Next quarter, next year, after this project, after things settled down. They never settled down. By the time I was in my 50s, my kids were grown. They were polite with me, kind even. But there was a formality to it that I couldn't name at first. They didn't call for advice. They didn't linger when they visited. I told myself that was normal. Independence, their own lives. What I didn't see was how little space I'd left for myself in their memories. I was reliable but not essential, present but not central. My wife grew quieter over the years. Not unhappy exactly, just contained. She stopped asking me to come along, stopped reminding me of things. That should have scared me. Instead, I took it as understanding. I was wrong again. The turning point wasn't dramatic, no shouting, no sudden disaster. She got sick. Not overnight. Slowly. Appointments, tests, waiting rooms. I sat beside her finally with nowhere else to be. I remember thinking how strange it was that it took illness to slow me down. She died on a Tuesday afternoon. I remember the light in the room. I remember holding her hand and realizing how unfamiliar it felt to sit still with her for that long. That thought still makes me ashamed. After the funeral, people told me I was strong. I nodded. Strength had always been my role. What they didn't see was how empty the house felt, how every room reminded me of conversations we never finished. Retirement came not long after. I expected relief, rest, time. Instead, it felt like being cut loose. The phone stopped ringing. My days opened up in a way that felt more frightening than freeing. Work had given my life structure. It had given me excuses. Without it, there was nowhere to hide. I tried to reconnect, called my kids more often, asked about their lives. They were gracious, busy. They had their own routines now, their own priorities. I could hear it in their voices. I wasn't excluded. I just wasn't central. That's a hard thing to accept when you realize it's partly your own doing. Now, at 81, I understand something I couldn't see before. Life doesn't ask for grand gestures. It asks for attention. And attention is the one thing I kept postponing. I thought I was trading time for security. What I was really doing was trading presence for approval. From bosses who don't remember me now. From systems that moved on without noticing. There are things that can't be fixed. I can't go back and sit on the floor with my children longer. I can't ask my wife how her day was and actually listen. I can't make myself essential in lives that learn to go on without me. That's the part no one likes to talk about. Some losses don't come from mistakes. They come from delay, from assuming there will always be another chance to show up. If you're listening to this and you're younger, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I wouldn't listen either. I just want you to know what it feels like at the end. To have done everything you were supposed to do and still feel like you missed the point. Work ends, titles fade, the emails stop. What remains are the moments you stayed when you could have left, the conversations you didn't rush, the people who felt you were really there. I don't regret working hard. I regret letting it become an excuse. I regret confusing busyness with importance. I regret believing that love would wait patiently while I finish one more thing. My time now is quiet, measured in mornings and pills and slow walks. I'm grateful for what I have, and I'm honest about what I lost. If this meant something to you, I hope you sit with it for a moment, not to change your life, just to notice it. That's all I wanted to say.